Time. They who conquer time conquer space. Management is about conquering time and space, using the optimum level of resources in the process. Let us scrutinize three very closely related concepts: organization, organizing, and business. The universal definition for organization is a group of persons united for some purpose. The persons that belong to the group are physical entities. The organization itself is not. By satisfying certain formalities, it is true that some groups of people acquire legal recognition for the existence of their organizations. But that form of existence is not physical. It is juridical. I need to make this distinction to draw attention to the fact that an organization exists only in the minds and sometimes the hearts of individuals who believe that they are united for a common purpose. If there are no individuals who think, who act, and who feel united for some purpose, then there is no organization to speak of. Having a common purpose is a must, but it does not guarantee that people will unite in the first place and stay united over time. Implied in our universal definition is the presence of someone in the group, someone who performs the task of uniting its members for the shared purpose. That person is the organizational leader. It is the leader who unites them and keeps them united, not the common purpose per se. Without effective leadership, an organization cannot carry out its avowed purpose. The leader unites the members of the group to carry out the purpose for which it was formed. But what if the group fails? If an organization fails to carry out its purpose, the position of the leader is put at risk. And if that organization continually fails to fulfill what the French call its raison d'être, or underlying principle, its purpose, its mission, then it will become progressively difficult to justify prolonging its existence. An organization's success in carrying out its purpose is measured in terms of the value derived by stakeholders from its continued existence. That is another thing that is implied in the universal definition, that the continued existence of an organization depends on the results of its operations in the eyes of its stakeholders. The other concept we want to scrutinize is organizing. The root word of organizing is a verb, organize. It means to put into working order, to get together and arrange. There is nothing in our earlier definition of organization that made reference to the essence of organizing, which is a working order or arrangement. This is fair enough, because an organization can be disorganized. Now let's review the basic elements discussed so far. A group of individuals, a common purpose, a leader, and stakeholders who assess operating results. We are saying that these four elements can be present, and there can still be disorder or disarray in the way that the group members go about their business. Now let's take a look at the third concept, the concept of business. The universal definition of business is a thing that one is busy at. The root word of business is busy. Your busyness is whatever it is that keeps you busy. Organizing is required whenever there is a busyness. The existence of a business implies that there is work that needs to get done and people to do it. Work that needs to get done and people to do it. A clear indication of the work ahead is determined when the leader articulates long-term objectives and the conditions of the end state that the organization should strive to bring to fruition. This important description of the future state that the organization seeks to make happen is now popularly called the leader's vision. If the organization were likened to a vessel and the leader its captain, then business is the journey and vision the far-off destination towards which it is headed. Clarity of destination helps the leader to decide the right way to deploy resources at his disposal, helps the leader to decide the best way to act, the best way to react in order to exploit opportunities, in order to overcome obstacles, to successfully carrying out the organization's purpose. The pattern of actions taken and planned describes the leader's strategy. Extending the metaphor we used earlier, strategy is the voyage plan that determines the route and ports of call that the vessel should take in order to always have enough food and fuel on board, in order to avoid being attacked by pirates, to steer clear of inclement weather, and in the end, to arrive safely at its ultimate destination. Organizing follows with decisions concerning who does what part of the work, with whom, with what tools and methods, blessed with what qualities and skills, using what materials, when, where, for how long, for how much, and so on. The outcome is an organizational infrastructure consisting of operating goals, management processes, structures, and systems, which is established to facilitate the execution of the leader's strategy. The words organization and business are listed as synonyms in the thesaurus. We often use them interchangeably in our daily speech. But to facilitate our analysis, we will highlight a subtle but important distinction between these two concepts. Organization has to do with a united group of people. Business has to do with things related to the purpose around which they are united. Today's business leaders must organize people in distinct ways, must organize things in distinct ways, because they do not have the same nature. Organizing considerations for a business are of the technical sort. Strategy and infrastructure decisions have to do with strategic and operating goals and standards, products, services, prices, customers, suppliers, competitors, market shares, raw materials, technology, the whole gamut of technical stuff that managers have to deal with. Cash flow, payback periods, financial ratios, and the like. When organizing a group of people, on the other hand, the thoughts that the leader has to contemplate and link together are social in nature. In addition to articulating the purpose and guiding principles that unite them, the leader should instill business-relevant values when they perform their assigned organizational roles. After that, the leader should prescribe, set an example, and encourage a preferred attitude and code of behaviors and work standards or style for all members of the group. The wise leader makes sure that the demands of his strategy are addressed by work practices, management practices, and leadership practices that constitute organizational style. At the same time, he sees to it that his espoused values permeate the structures, systems, processes, and skills that constitute organizational infrastructure. Take William Koch, the skipper of the America to the Third Power crew that won the highly coveted America's Cup in 1992 as an example. He achieved one of the most improbable victories in the history of sport. Improbable because this was his first-time effort. because the skipper had never been on an America's Cup yacht before, much less race one, and because the team had only 18 months to prepare a boat and crew, compared to as much as 3 years for some of the other competitors. In a book that was dedicated to their improbable victory, the skipper declared insightfully, "Boat speed is a science, sailing is an art." Those words capture succinctly the wisdom of understanding, organizing, and operating the two separate but inextricably linked aspects that we have been discussing. Simply stated, to efficiently drive the technical side of the organization, a leader needs to apply the science of management. To effectively influence its social side, the leader needs to practice the art of leadership. As organizations get larger, the level of complexity and the stakes only get higher. For many years, leaders were content with having trained managers, people who could get things done through other people. Many leaders now understand that they need manager leaders, managers who have a thorough knowledge of their respective roles in the business and a deep understanding and influence over the people through whom they are assigned to carry out their assignments. To prevail in the increasingly competitive world that we live in, the leader must establish and orchestrate a network of competent manager leaders who apply scientific management and artful leadership to accomplish their assignments. In summary, an organization is a socio-technical entity that needs to be thoroughly planned, meticulously organized, and continuously developed by a network of manager leaders to ensure that its members are united around and stay committed to a shared purpose, which they accomplish for the benefit of its stakeholders. Organizing the two aspects simultaneously is a vital, complex, and ongoing undertaking. Such complexity can be tamed if one uses a conceptual model that can cut clear through the intellectual fog that might blur one's thinking processes. We have examined the 7 basic elements of a model that has helped many CEOs and their top management teams deliberate their organization building effort. That paradigm is called organizing for business excellence. With it, you can arrange and articulate your thoughts. You can make sense of and understand your organization and your business or businesses in 3 time frames: the past, the present, and the future. The model postulates that the ultimate goal of any commercial, profit-seeking enterprise is sustainable profitability, not profitability per se. And the only way to achieve this is through sustainable self-transformation. Sustainable self-transformation is a condition wherein all 7 elements in the paradigm are periodically, sporadically, and systematically checked, adjusted, or redesigned as needed to be in a concurrent state of dynamic harmony with the business environment and internal integration and balance. In other words, self-transformation is a built-in capability to innovate. The invincible and icky cockroach in our homes is more than 400 million years old. That creature owes its invincibility to this built-in capability to change its genes, according to the scientists, to protect its descendants from the environmental factors that threaten the existence of its ancestors. What today's leaders should work for is to transform the organization into a living, vibrant, and self-transforming socio-technical entity that consistently attains the objectives relating to the purpose for which it was established. Profitable one year, unprofitable the next is not the way to run a business. The organization must be built with a capacity to anticipate and exploit change, even if it means that one should abandon a long-standing business. In his own words, Warren Buffett, the world's greatest investor, has this to share about his investment philosophy. We are not in the steel business per se. We are not in the shoe business per se. We are not in any business per se. We're big in insurance, but we're not committed to it. We don't have a mindset that says, you have to go down this road, so we can take capital and move into businesses that make sense. Sustainable profitability is indicated by the extent to which the organization continuously generates a steady flow of cash, creates wealth for its shareholders, delivers products and services that satisfy its customers, provides a competitive source of livelihood for its employees, and maintains mutually beneficial relationships with its suppliers and creditors, the regulating institutions, and society at large. In his studies, Charles Darwin, the British naturalist, concluded, "It is not the strongest nor the most intelligent of the species that survive, but the species that is most adaptable to change." Organizations, like all species of living organisms, need to continuously adapt to changing conditions in order to survive and grow, more so in the 21st century. While survival and growth depend on the capacity of the species to sustain a viable state of fitness, well-being, and freedom from disease, so too the survival and growth of an organization depends on its capacity to achieve sustainable profitability. The only way that today's leader can build the capacity to innovate is to orchestrate her network of manager leaders so that they can take an active part in steering the technical and the social sides of the organization and contribute to the ongoing effort to articulate, to communicate, to analyze, to align and attune its 7 basic elements, even as they go about the performance of their routine duties. Articulating the substance of and sharing the same meaning for each of the 7 basic elements of the paradigm builds unity of thought. The outcome of using organizing for business excellence is a common language that facilitates cohesiveness, clarity of the end state, coherence of strategy, competence, and coordination in its execution across organizational units. From one operating period to the next, manager leaders can unite their people around the same feelings of compliance with established standards and commitment to making their respective contributions to the business.